Hello and welcome to another class of Foreign Trade of India. Today we'll discuss arguments against protectionism. Now, before discussing the arguments against protectionism policy, we'll discuss what protectionism is. Now, trade protection is a policy that protects domestic industries from unfair competition from foreign ones. Alright, so trade protective policies are such policies which are used by developing and developed countries. Both the countries use these types of policy for different reasons. So, when these policies are used, why are these policies used? They are used to protect the domestic industries from the foreign industries or foreign competition. Alright, now two tools are used for protecting the domestic industries. First is tariff barriers, second is non-tariff barriers. When we talk about tariff barriers, it includes all the things which are related to taxes and duties. So if there is an import duty applied on any product, then it is a tariff barrier. Apart from tariff barriers, another type of tool is used, which is non-tariff barrier. What does it mean? It includes barriers like subsidies, like quotas, like currency manipulations. So these are three non-tariff barriers which are used by many countries around the world to protect their domestic industries. Now we'll understand, in the next section we'll understand how these tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers negatively affect the country and has a negative impact on the domestic industry also, and it has a negative impact overall as well. All right. So, arguments against protectionism, starting with the first one, which says market distortion and loss of economic efficiency. Now, the first argument says that market is distorted because of import tariffs or taxes which are applied by the government. Now, what is the effect of tariff? Because of application of tariff, the price of imported product in your country increases, because of which it becomes less competitive in the domestic market, and the domestic products are at the same cost. They no taxes or very little tax is applied on them, because of which they have an edge towards the imported products, right? So because of which it leads to economic distortion. Now, economic distortion also leads to increase in prices for the consumers. Now, every product on which import tariffs are applied, the price automatically increases. When price increases, it is harmful for the consumers. All right, and it also penalizes foreign producers and encourage an efficient allocation of resources both domestically and globally. Next is reduction in market access for producers. Now, this particular point is specifically for developed countries. The developed countries give export subsidies to most of their primary industry, because of which the cost at which they are able to produce primary products is quite low. And if we talk about the middle income country or low income country, their major export product is primary product. So it has a negative impact over the producers of primary products from a less developed country or an underdeveloped country. All right, export subsidies has a negative impact on that. It leads to reduction in market access for producers from the low income group country or middle income group country. Next is extra cost for producers. What does it mean? For goods that are produced globally, high tariffs and other barriers on import act as a tax on exports, right? Damaging economies and jobs rather than protecting them. For example, a tariff on imported steel can lead to higher costs and lower profits for car manufacturers. All right. So extra cost for exporters. Why exporters? Because here what did we discuss? It is actually talking about import being a raw material for some export commodity. All right. So if that particular exportable commodity uses a imported raw material, it will be a problem for the exporters. Next is stagnation of technological advancement. Now, what does it mean? Because of lack of competition in the market, the domestic industries are not encouraged to innovate or to put money in research and development because, as we say, उनका काम चल रहा है, right? So there is stagnation of technological advancement because there is no incentive for them to put money in research and development. Next is limited choices for consumers. Now consumers in an industry in the country, because of low imports, there is limited choice for them, right? Because imported products are discouraged in your country, so consumer have fewer access to goods in the market as a result of limitation in the foreign goods. So there is lack of supply of foreign goods, because of which the consumers have just domestic goods at their hand. Next is adverse effects on poverty. Now, because of higher prices from tariff, the most affected are the people whose incomes are the lowest, right? If we apply tariffs on products like foodstuff, tobacco, clothing, right? So the prices of, if the price of those products increases, it will have a negative impact on the poor people. Next is retaliation and trade wars. Now, when you are using protective policies, some countries might retaliate in the same way. They also might use protective trade policies against you. So you put import tariff on their products, they also do the same, because of which trade war might start, or you may be economically isolated, as is our next point, that it often leads to political and cultural isolation, which in turns leads to more economic isolation, right? So these are few points on arguments against protectionism. Now, in the conclusion, I would like to say that trade protectionism weakens the industry. Without competition, countries within the industry have no need to innovate. Eventually, the domestic product will decline in quality and be more expensive than what foreign competitors produce. All right. With this, we are done with arguments against protectionism. Now, this particular topic of Unit 3 has been finished now.